Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel all about BI. In this session, I'm going to take you through some concept called Azure SDK for Python. Why do we need that Azure SDK for Python? What is the purpose? So normally, when we want to create a pipeline or related components, right? What we'll do, we'll go to Azure portal, and in the UI, we will be creating data factory first, followed by that pipeline, and inside that activities. We all do this normally manually, right? If you want to do it programmatically, then there comes the need for Azure SDK for Python. Go to Google and type create data factory using Python Azure SDK. Okay, so the first link is what is the series of steps that we will be doing in this demo. So there is a very beautiful documentation here. It is what it is going to do is it is going to create a data factory for us in the region that we mentioned. Inside the data factory, it's going to create a link service, and then followed by the two data sets, one for input and one for output, which is one for source and one for sync. These data sets are going to be used in a copy activity. Okay, so we have to create a copy activity also in through program, and finally we will run that pipeline and we'll monitor. This is what we are going to do the whole episode. Okay, so what are the prerequisites for doing this? As usual, we know we need an Azure account and then Python 3.6. If you haven't installed Python 3.6, we should install this beforehand, before going into the actual implementation. Okay, once you are done with that, just verify by going into terminal or command prompt by typing Python command. All right, and then we need an Azure storage account, and storage explorer is not needed. We can manage using Azure portal itself. Storage account, why we need is we have to create a container and we have to upload a file, and through copy activity what we are going to do is from one container, one folder to another folder, we are going to copy the file using programmatical way. Okay, that is why we need an Azure storage account. And this is one another point that we would be needing. What this is, an application in Azure Active Directory. I'll tell you how to create an application. Why this is required and all I'll tell you, because there is a step that establishes authentication. Okay, so we need to do this before we jump into creation of actual data factory. I'll tell you how to do that. So as a first step, we need to create and upload an input file, which I have already done. So in my storage account, I have a storage account called SAADL, Azure storage account 89. In that I have not Azure storage account because it's a blob storage, so I need a data lake storage. So SAADL 89, this is the data lake storage that we have. Inside that I have a container called ADF v2 tutorial, and inside that an input folder and input.txt. This file we are going to copy to an output folder. This is a very simple file that is shown in the quick start documentation page only. Okay, create and upload an input file. This is the first step that I have already done. Second is install the Python packages. You just have to go to terminal or command prompt, whatever operating system you use, right? Based on that, you either go to terminal for Mac and command prompt for Windows. Okay, using administrator privileges. And once you log in into command prompt or terminal, you will have to install certain packages. Okay, that we will be using in the program. All right, so Azure management resource, Azure management data factory, Azure identity, these three are the basic libraries that we would be requiring. This, I think you all would be knowing how to do that, so I'm not touching upon there. And then once we are done with all the basic prerequisites of installing the libraries, we can go ahead and import them. Okay, I'll quickly create a fresh file. From the start we can do. Okay, so this is the import part of the code, and then followed by that there are certain commonly used methods for printing. Basically these are all support functions, we can say. Okay, for printing the properties of a component, printing the item related to which location we have created a data factory in. So regarding getting some metadata about the components that we create, we have to use these functions. So that's why I'm copying it and then I'm pasting it in the Python file. Okay, and after that we have the main function coming up. So this main function I'll just copy as such. It declares the details of the subscription ID. Okay, I'll be filling it in a while. Resource group name, if you already have a resource group you can use that, otherwise you can create. Okay, this is the resource group name. The data factory name, this should be globally unique. my df test demo. It should be globally unique, in the sense in no other region you should have a data factory with the same name. All right, and then here comes the active directory, client id, client secret, and tenant id. Okay, for this only we have to create an application or register an application in the Azure portal. So how do we do that and get the client id, client secret, and then tenant id? I'll show you that right now. Go to Azure portal and then app registrations. Inside that, click new registration. Any name is fine, and then supported account types. Who can use this application or access this API? Accounts in any organizational activity. This is not a secured application and all. This is for a namesake application registration, right? So I'm saying accounts in any organizational directory, and then say register. Once you do this, you will be getting client ID, secret, client secret, and tenant ID. Okay, so we have to copy these properties into our code for it to work. So what we need, first thing is client ID. So where do I get it from? If you go, once the app registration is done, click on the new app that you created and then go to overview page. In that you see the client ID in the first part of it, and then second is client secret. I'll come to that. Tenant ID. Tenant ID is in the last. Okay, I'll just paste it here. Alright, and client secret. How do we get the client secret? Is go to certificates and secrets, add new secret, my new secret I'll say, and then say OK. And this is the value that we have to copy. This is the client secret value. I have copied it and then I have pasted it here. Alright. Okay, so this part is done now, and then a location. If you want to create in South India, I can say South India or Central India or wherever it is, whichever location is nearby you can choose that. Okay, I'll say South India. My resources will be created in the South Indian region. Alright, so next to that, what we have to do is we have declared the details of our application and subscription, and then we can go ahead and create a data factory. Okay, so here we need to use the same, you can use the same location. Okay, and then this will be creating a data factory for you using create or update method of ADF client class. Alright, so after the data factory is created, you have to create a link service, the same way how we do it in the UI. Alright, so the next thing is, once we create a data factory, we will create a link service. I'll just copy this same way, and you can mention this is a link service name. You can mention whatever you want, and here you need to mention the connection string of your Azure storage account. So whichever storage account we are going to access, that particular storage account you have to open and go to the overview page for getting the connection string of it. Okay, so let it open. So once we specify that why this is, we are creating a link service and we are going to point to this link service for creating data sets. Okay, so link service is basically establishing connection with your storage account. So for that only we are providing the connection string details here. So I'll just open this, and then so we have to go to access keys, and then if you say show in the connection string button, you will see the complete connection string. I'm just copying that and pasting it in the value portion of it. Okay, so I'm just replacing it as such, and then we are done with the storage account details now. And then what we have to do is the next part of it. So initially we created a data factory, then a link service, then we are going to create two data sets, one for source and one for sync. Okay, so here we need to mention this is the data set name, and here we have to mention the container name. My container name is input container. My file name is input.txt. This is the file name. Input.txt will be my file name in my. Alright, so here we just have to mention the container name and the folder name. Our container name we can take it from the storage account. My container name is ADF v2 tutorial, and that has to come first, followed by that input folder. This is the folder name, and then the next comes the file name. Here is input.txt. okay, I'm just replacing the placeholders that are given in the code in the documentation page. Okay, you can also follow the same thing and do. And then this is the data set for sync. This is for input, and whatever I'm going to do, this is for output. So output should go to output folder. Container can be the same container as the input data set. We need not change that. And here the folder can be output folder. Okay, alright, so this is the setting that we need to do for data sets. And then comes the pipeline. So here in this pipeline we are going to create a copy activity. Okay, so copy activity should have a source and sync, right? So for that they are instantiating it, and they are referring to the data sets that we recently created, ds name and ds out name. This is input data set name, this is output data set name, as you can verify from here. This is ds out underscore name is output data set name, and then ds underscore name is input data set name. Alright, so they are creating reference for that, and then they are creating the actual pipeline in this line. Alright, by passing the resource group name, data factory name, and then the pipeline name and the pipeline object. Okay, I am copying it again, pasting it. We don't have to do anything here, I believe. Once we are done with pipeline creation with the copy activity, we can run the pipeline, but I'm not going till there. Till now we will try to run this and see how it works. Okay, I'll just replace my subscription name, and then I will be running this Python code. Alright, I have updated my subscription, and then I'm going to my terminal. I'm going to run the code. Let us see how it works. But before that we need to do one thing. So till now what we have done, we have just copied the code from the documentation page. Initially what we did, we created an application, we registered an application, right? So that application should be given access to your subscription. Okay, so how do we do that is, go to the subscription, and then you have to go to access control, and you have to say add role assignment. You have to search for contributor role, and then go to members. In the select members option, you have to give the test app, whatever we created, test app registration. Okay, so this application is what we created, that has to be given selected members. Okay, that has to be selected here, and then say review unassigned. Without doing this you will not be able to run your code. That will throw authentication issues. Okay, so I'm just reviewing and assigning, and once it is assigned, you can go to role assignments. Already exists, so I think we have to check the register my new app. This is what I created newly, so we have to give role to that only. So going back to the subscription, my new app, right? So we have to go to IAM, and then add role assignment, contributor role, and then in members, my new app. This is the selected member. Select, then review and assign. Once this is done, we will try to run our code from the terminal. Okay, so I'll go here and then I'll say python 3 python sdk.python. We haven't copied the complete code, right? So I think we would have missed calling the main function. We have only declared the functions, or defined the functions, but we haven't called the main function yet. So that is why the code is not running. I'm just copying this portion to just start my Python code, and then we can run the program. Okay, so finally, after creating a data factory, a pipeline, we can call the main function. Okay, and this is the main function. I'm saving it, going back to the terminal now. So let me run. Code is running now. It might throw some error, we have to clear then and there. Okay, the resource group already exists in the location Central India, so we can comment out the portion that creates the resource group. Okay, I'll do that now. In the documentation itself, they would have mentioned like comment out if the resource group already exists. Okay, so we haven't commented it out, that's why it is throwing error. I have saved now. I'll clear the page and then run again. If there is any error, we'll correct it and we'll proceed. Let's see how it works. Okay, so there is some issue in line number 86, missing one required keyword only argument. Okay, line number 86 will go. So this is the one thing that I found out that is missing in the documentation. Okay, so this is line number 86. What we have to mention here is type. There is a type argument required. Okay, link service reference. Okay, similarly, wherever you have the link service reference, you need to add this. Similarly for data set reference. So here type equal to data set reference. You have to add this type argument to the data set reference and linked service reference. Alright, so this is mandatory. I have saved it. I'll go run again. Let's see what happens. Alright, everything seems to be fine. So if everything has gone well, we can go to our Azure portal and check if the data factory is created in the resource group 1. Okay, so already only I had my DF Subha in West US and the storage account as part of RG demo 1. I'll refresh this page now. I'll refresh and see if a data factory is also created. My DF test demo, this is what we gave in our code. I'll open this and see if a link service and 2 data sets and 1 copy activity is created or not. Okay, so the main thing that we have to keep in mind is the app registration part, so that we get the client ID, tenant ID and the client secret. Okay, so I go to author page. There is a copy pipeline created for us. If you check the copy pipeline, the source will be pointing to dataset in, sync will be pointing to dataset out. Okay, and then the datasets also you can see, and the link service, storage link service not one. Okay, this is how we create a simple pipeline through code in Python for doing a copy activity. Okay, you can follow the rest of the steps to run and monitor the run. Okay, run the code and then monitor the code and clean up the resources. Okay, this you can do. To delete the data factory, you can do factories.delete in the ADF client class. Okay, this is what I had for today. Just it will be a heads up for you to start with. If at all you want to work with the SDK for Python, right, you can use this documentation and the demo that I showed you for your reference. Okay, hope it helps. In the next video I will try to do the same thing for data flow activity. So one problem that I'm encountering with the data flow activity is source gets created, sync gets created, but it's not I'm not able to link both of them. Okay, the connectivity, basically source to sync, that connectivity is missing, as well as the source connection and sync connection, they are not pointing to the data set. I'm halfway through it. Once I have clarity, I will be uploading that video very soon. Hope it helps. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep supporting.